He thought he was doing everything right, saving money, working hard, making more every year. But when he opened his account after 5 years, nothing had really changed, not in a way that mattered. And that's the moment most people never talk about. The moment where you realize effort alone isn't moving you forward. Because wealth doesn't grow the way you think it does. It doesn't climb steadily like those smooth charts you see online. It moves in jumps. Long periods where nothing seems to happen, followed by short moments where everything changes. And there are specific points where those shifts happen. Miss them, and you can work for decades without ever getting ahead. Hit them at the right time, and you can compress years of progress into a much shorter window. Most people never even know these points exist, but once you see them, you can't unsee them. And more importantly, you can start playing the game differently, because this isn't about working harder, it's about understanding where progress actually happens. Let's start with the first shift. Not your salary, not your savings, your first real invested money. Most people think saving and investing are the same thing. They're not. Saving is storing, investing is activating. And until your money is actually working somewhere, it's not growing in any meaningful way. This is where almost everyone gets stuck. They build up small amounts, a few hundred, maybe a couple thousand, but it doesn't feel like anything is happening. The numbers barely move. The returns are so small they're almost invisible, so they lose interest. They stop. Or worse, they spend it because it doesn't feel important yet. But that phase is the trap. Because the early stage of building wealth is silent. It's slow, it's unrewarding. You're putting in effort, but you're not seeing results. And that's exactly why most people never get past it. But something changes once you push through. Once your invested money reaches a certain point, the numbers start to feel different. The growth becomes noticeable. Not life-changing yet, but real enough that your brain starts to register something important. This isn't just my effort anymore. This is money creating more money. And that moment is critical because now you're no longer relying only on yourself. You've built something that contributes. That's the first shift. And most people never stay in the game long enough to reach it. But even if you do, there's another problem waiting. Because once your money starts growing, you start feeling different, more confident, more secure. And that's where the second mistake usually happens. People start upgrading, not dramatically, not irresponsibly, just small changes, a better apartment, a nicer car, more spending here and there. Because now it feels like they've earned it, and technically they have. But here's the problem. Those upgrades don't just increase your lifestyle, they reduce your future. Because every extra dollar you spend now is a dollar that could have been growing for years. And this is where most people plateau. They don't go backwards. They just stop accelerating. Their income goes up, their lifestyle goes up, and the gap between the two stays the same. So even though they're earning more than ever, nothing really changes. They feel stable, but not free. And this is where the second real shift happens. Not when you earn more. When your money starts doing more than you do. When the growth from your investments begins to matter as much as your own contributions. At that point, everything feels different. Because now you're not pushing alone. You have momentum. And momentum is what changes the game. But again, most people interrupt this process right before it fully kicks in. They celebrate too early, they slow down too soon, and they never experience what happens if you keep going just a little longer. Now here's where things get interesting, because there's a final stage that almost nobody thinks about clearly. Not a number. Not a milestone people talk about casually. But the only one that actually matters. The point where your money can support your life without you. Not your dream life, not luxury, just your baseline, your essential expenses. The cost of maintaining your life without stress. Because once your investments can cover that, everything changes. Not just financially, mentally, emotionally. Because now you're not working because you have to. You're working because you choose to. And that's a completely different position. But here's what stops most people from ever reaching it. It's not lack of income. It's not bad decisions. It's something much simpler. Their life expands as fast as their money. Every raise becomes an upgrade. Every increase becomes a new standard, so the target keeps moving. And no matter how much they earn, they never catch up because the finish line keeps getting further away. And this is the biggest misunderstanding about wealth. People think it's about how much you make. It's not. It's about how much your life requires because the higher your expenses, the harder it becomes to replace them. And the lower they are, the faster you gain control. That's why someone earning less can become financially free before someone earning more. Not because they're smarter, not because they invest better, but because they need less. And that changes everything. So if you step back and look at the entire process, it's actually simple. Not easy, but simple. First, you build enough for your money to start working. Then you protect that momentum instead of interrupting it. And finally, you keep your lifestyle controlled long enough for your money to catch up to it. That's it. That's the entire system. But almost nobody follows it all the way through. Because each stage has its own trap. In the beginning, it feels too slow. In the middle, it feels like you've earned more comfort. And at the end, it feels like freedom is too far away. So people quit. They slow down, or they never start properly. And then years pass, and nothing really changes. But if you understand where these shifts happen, you can avoid all of that. You can stay consistent when it feels pointless. You can resist upgrading when it feels deserved. And you can stay focused long enough to reach the point where everything starts working in your favor. Because once that happens, wealth stops feeling like something you chase and starts feeling like something that builds itself. And the only real question is this: where are you right now in that process? At the very beginning, where nothing moves? In the middle, where everything feels stable but stuck? Or close to the point where things finally start to shift? Because once you can answer that, honestly, you can finally start moving forward on purpose.